guys, it's your girl Tiff. Welcome to the Change Talk YouTube channel, the official YouTube channel of Awakening Change Counseling Services. Join us here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. where we'll talk about a host of topics related to behavioral health, leadership, and self-care. Don't forget to hit the button to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and followers. I'll see you guys soon. Hello. How are you? It is another Thursday night. I have survived another work week. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm even more excited though, because tonight, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago that I had this idea for a Survivors series. And then life got a little crazy. And so I had to do a little rearranging and scheduling and some things like that. But I am very, very excited to have our guest tonight with us. It is the amazing Dr. Carey Yazeed. If you know anything about me and this journey that I've taken in private practice this past 3 years, then you've heard her name quite frequently as part of that process. And I am over the moon that she decided to literally log off of one interview to rush over here to be with us tonight. So I'm going to bring her on screen. I'm going to let her introduce herself because she bad, y'all. She bad. Hey, Doc. How you doing?
Hey.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I told you, I don't know why we didn't have this idea before. Charge it to my head, not my heart. Because we talk about so much of this stuff offline that it didn't click until you were like, hey, I'll come on the show. And I was like, really? You'll come on the show? Okay, cool. And I know that right now you're in the middle of the marketing and press for your latest anthology, which I'll let you talk about that too. So it makes it extra special that you were like, yeah, no, I'll fit it in. I'll leave there, come here, whatever. So let's start with telling the people who you are and what you do and all that good stuff.
So, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Carey Yazeed. I will say that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done a little bit of everything. I was a mental health professional, mental health therapist, owned a private practice for 20 years. Had practiced in the field for 23 years before leaving in 2016 and reinventing myself, so to speak. I currently call myself an employee empowerment strategist. And that is because I have worked in some toxic workspaces as I worked in social services. And I realized that there were no resources in place to help people like myself when I was going through it. And so my goal now is to make sure that everyone, especially those of us that come from diverse backgrounds, are working in healthy workspaces. And if the workspace is toxic, how to help you as a professional figure out your next move. And so I do corporate training, professional development training, but I also work with the employee, the person who's going through it day in and day out as well.
Okay. You do it all. You jack
Yeah,
of all trades. You got a little bit over here and a little bit over here.
this is
Um,
true.
so let's jump right into it. What is it that makes you now? I have my own answer of this for you, but what do you think it is that makes you a survivor? Like, what is it about your story that makes you a
Um,
survivor?
and I usually share this once a year in the month of October, and I pick the platform that I'm going to share it on. So it's not a part of my woven story, so to speak. I am a survivor of emotional abuse and also physical abuse. The physical abuse took place when I was 18. It was at the hands of my dad. I will honestly say it was a misunderstanding, that he thought I said something that I clearly did not say, but it was the heat of an argument. And before I knew it, I was being attacked by a grown man. And if you know me, I'm only 5'2", have been 5'2" my whole doggone life. Can't grow to save my life.
But wears
And
6.5-inch heels
yeah,
regularly.
yeah, I put
Okay.
on some heels in a second.
Hmm.
And at that time I weighed maybe 90 pounds. So I'm not a big person. And all I remember was I didn't live with my parents at the time. So by the time I made it to my own place, I knew my face hurt really, really bad. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize who I was. Like
Hmm.
I was unrecognizable. I still have hearing issues till this day. I have dental issues. So I have issues with my jawline. Whenever a dentist does x-rays, I'm always prepared because they will bring the nurse in, and then I'm asked, am I in a safe environment? When was I hit in the face? Is
Hmm.
what they usually ask. And so, and I tell them what happened, and they'll ask like, well, are you okay? And I used to, back then it was I didn't live with him anymore. Now I just say he's deceased. But the
Hmm.
incident took place when I was 18. And I just remember there was no help. So like my family went quiet. It was summer break because I was in college. I just finished my freshman year. So all my friends had gone home and I was alone. And it took me the entire summer to get my face back to normal so that I could go back to class. Um, and one thing that came out of that was that my mom bought me a ticket to Los Angeles to go stay with one of her sisters just to kind of get away. And at some point, I left her sister's house and found a friend from Southern in Los Angeles because it was just I was tired of answering questions about it, and I stayed at her house for like a month before I came back. But and the emotional abuse took place from a very bad marriage. Was married to a narcissist, and they will take your self-esteem through hell and back.
Hmm.
So I was told stuff like I was fat, that no one would want me with two kids, that I wasn't pretty, that I thought I was smart with all my degrees, but I really was dumb. Like it was just all kind of stuff. Financially, they withheld money. So it would get to the point where we wouldn't have food in the refrigerator, and I would have to, call on my parents to provide for me and my two kids. And I'm married. Like what kind of sense does that make? And at that time, I was not working, so I was a housewife. And one of the things that my mom discussed with me was she was just like, you need to go back to work. Like, because he's using this to control you.
Hmm.
And the kids, like, put them in daycare, do what you have to do, but you got to regain your independence because he's stripping that away from you. I have lost so much weight. And again, remember, wasn't a big person to start with.
Mm-mm.
Um, Hair was falling out like in chunks. Like I had long hair would, if I would brush it, big clumps would fall out on the floor. And it went on for, we stayed married for 10 years. 10 years. So yeah, I went through it for a while. I went through it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that is that God kept you. But here's the thing. You take all of that. I know you take all of that. And whereas some people would have just kind of laid down and died or given up or just kind of like made excuses for why, they couldn't finish school. Why cuz that was your undergrad. You have a PhD. So there are some folks who would have stopped and said, "Okay, you know what, I'm not going back to school. I can't do this." Or, "I'm in this bad marriage. I can't wiggle, I can't maneuver, I can't do anything."
Mhm.
How did you how did you flip that? How did you make that transition from just surviving to now thriving, and um to be better, to not like sit in that and get bitter?
Well, now I will say this: I was bitter for a while, like, but the bitterness didn't stop me from getting better. I learned how to find a balance with the
Mhm.
two. Like, you be
Mhm.
bitter for a while, now you need to get your butt up and let's, because my thing was I will never be in a position where this will happen to me again. And that
Mm.
was both of the situations. So, from what happened with me with my dad, and unfortunately, I think it made me be a little, have more boundaries when it came to men.
Mhm.
So someone pointed this out. They was like, somebody talk crazy to you. You like, I'm not gonna sit there and entertain it. I'm not going to sit down and try and figure out what I did. It's just like, oh, okay, then you don't know how to respect me. Bye.
Mhm.
you know and so I've been labeled as crazy, but then when I go back and look at the person who's labeling me as crazy, it's usually because they are trying to, they it's some things that they've done that I just didn't tolerate. And
Mhm.
that was just a promise that I made to my 18-year-old self, 18 going on 19. And I was like, oh no, like, this is the last time I'm not going to be able to recognize who I am when I look in the mirror. Like,
Mhm.
that was the last time. Unfortunately, it was like the first man who loved me, which was my dad. But I was just like, oh, hell no, this ain't. So that was my motivation for, I'm going to school, I'm going to get my bachelor's degree. And I worked overtime. Like, I literally was at school all day, in class. When I got out of class, I was in the library. I was an overachiever.
Mhm.
And like I said, there were those bitter moments, but I had the balance, and I was like, bitterness is not going to stop me. When it came to my marriage, I already had my master's degree. So there would be times when I just be like, did he really just call me stupid? Like, because I got 2 degrees to your zero.
Oh,
Like, you
that
know,
part.
that part, and so those degrees would keep my self-esteem kind of, like, girl, like, you you educated, don't, like, okay, some of this, like, he might say you're not cute, but you are educated, if nothing else. He can't take that
He
away from
can't take it, yeah.
you, and my degrees were in the closet. And so sometimes I'll pull them out and look at them. Like, that was my reminder, like, I did this. No one helped me do it. I did it on my own.
Mhm.
And when I got my PhD, I was actually divorced. So I did that as a single parent.
But you like, it's so interesting because when we first connected, you were working specifically with women in business, helping them to make many of the same transitions that you had to make yourself.
Right.
How did you do that from without getting, I guess, re-traumatized or triggered again? Was it your clinical training? Was it kind of your focus? Like, because people often ask that, like, how can you work with someone who's experienced what you experienced and kind of keep the two separate?
And it's interesting you should say this. So, like, my background when I was a mental health therapist was working with survivors of sexual assault. So it was trauma. So I guess you could say I was like a trauma informed therapist, but I had some other people who came through there as well. But I never put myself like in their shoes. Like, I really didn't put myself in their shoes till I was the victim of sexual harassment. I was like, oh, this is what they was talking about. Like, oh, like, I really understand now. So when I went in, I was just the therapist. Like, you know, it wasn't me pushing off my experience onto them. It was never that. I always allowed them to make the space to be who they were and to share their story and to work on their issues. When I started working with women in business, I had boundaries. And so when women started to get personal, I will politely say, baby, I'm not a mental health therapist anymore. I'm gonna need you to go get one. Now you have insurance and you still working on a job, you have an EAP program. I'm gonna need you to reach out to one of them and find you a therapist. And if I felt there was some hesitation, I will go to the extent and say, I am not going to continue working with you until you go work with a therapist first.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would put, because I did not want women out there starting businesses because they were emotionally broken and they thought the business was going to heal them. Because a lot of people will start a business thinking the business is going to heal them, and
That's a
then
whole
your
word.
brokenness pours over into your
Into
business
your business.
affairs. And now
Mm-hmm.
you broken, the business broken, your customers don't like you, you got a whole lot of issues. So I'm like, go get yourself straight mentally, get in a good headspace, because being an entrepreneur is not easy.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Not at all. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yes, it is. It's not. You have to have a tough skin. And if you are going through your own emotional issues, the last thing you need to do is start a business,
Mm.
especially if it's your first business.
Please, please say it a little louder for the people in the back.
If
Please.
you going through some emotion, if you're going through some emotional stuff, don't start a business. Get your head straight first. Get yourself in a good mental space, because being a business owner is going to pull you in all types of directions. People gonna play, like, you know how they say on what's that movie? Friday. You playing with my emotions. Oh, your customers
Messing with my money is like messing with
mess with
my
my money.
emotions.
Well, you gonna have some customers that's gonna mess with your money, that's gonna mess with your emotions. So you gonna need to be in the right bad space to have to
Yes.
deal with them. You know,
Yes.
I'm putting it out there. So if your mind's still messed up from your messed up marriage or the trauma that you went through, domestic violence or whatever, when somebody starts messing with your money, that's gonna send you over the edge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we can't disconnect it. And we have such emotional relationships with money to begin with, either
Right.
because we never had it, or because of what we think we have to do to get it. That's just a yeah, that's a whole nother we gonna put that's a whole
Yeah,
nother
that's a whole
conversation.
different episode.
Um but what what I what I have loved about working with you, and Cheryl kind of said the same thing, is that you you walk alongside of and are like a huge encourager of folks, in large part because you've been there. Like, you know what that struggle is. You know that uncertainty. You know what I mean? And so because of that familiarity with the process, you actually you have the receipts. Not everybody has the receipts. There's some folks who are perpetrating a fraud, as the old folks used to say,
Yeah.
like that don't really have that. And I
And
think
you
for
and I talk about that a lot.
mhm.
That you have, like I said, I only talk about my situation with domestic violence once a year, and that's in October and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Any other time, nobody needs to be aware of what I've went through. But it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that I can't sense when another woman is in a bad marriage or she's in a bad relationship. I can sense it because I've been there. And
Mhm.
so I will take the time to pause and say, okay, so what's the real reason you haven't done what I've been telling you you need to do? And when she breaks it down, because I'm listening and I'm giving her the safe space to listen, baby girl, I'm gonna need you to go therapy. A baby
Mhm.
girl, you got an exit strategy. He sound like he a piece of work.
Mhm.
Like I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna be your auntie or whoever y'all need me to be. I'm gonna be that
For
person.
real.
The other thing is, because I have been there, I don't like to see people struggle. I think that's one of my weaknesses, is because I've struggled. And so it's like I know the process. So because I know it, let me make your life easier.
Mhm.
That's my philosophy. I also take the time out to get to understand individuals, not groups of people, individuals. And I work with you where you are. And I figure out what is your learning style. Now, that's the professor in
That's
me.
the professor in you. Yep.
Yeah. And so if I know that you visual, you might be getting videos from me that, hey, you did my assignment yet. You know, if I know you the texter, I might be, yeah, be like, oh, she texting me for? Is it okay for me to text you back, Dr. Carrie? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to text me back. Come on, text. You know,
Hmm.
I'm gonna meet you where you are. You have, but I've also been a business owner. And I became a business coach because I saw so many fraudulent people out there giving fraudulent advice. And I was like, that is not how this
And
works.
charging way too much for it.
You know, they're charging the moon and the stars, but they have a great website, you know. And because I've done it for so long, so I've been a business owner since middle school. Like I was Guido in middle school. I was long short. I loaned you lunch money. You had to pay me back with interest. You know, high school, I was writing people papers and you told me what grade you wanted and I told you how much that grade was gonna cost. And I wrote you a paper. Like I always had a hustle. I always had business going on. Um, and so when I heard people saying stuff, and it's just like, why people keep gravitating towards them where they have the pretty website, you know, and they had the pretty post on social media. But when I listened to them, I was like, the only business they done owned is this business they just opened up and they hustling all of y'all. That's what they do. And then people will go and pay these astronomical prices, then come back to me and be like, well, you know, she didn't know what she was doing, but now I can't afford to pay you because I gave her all my money.
Wrong
I
answer.
mean, you know, and the thing is, people don't do their research, like, and they don't ask questions of how many businesses have you owned, you know, um, and when you're doing that consultation, realize that y'all are getting to know each other, and so there are some questions that you should be asking. It shouldn't just be them asking all the questions. But I'll also tell someone, I don't think I'm the right person for you.
Hmm.
And so I, you know, I all clients aren't meant to work with me. All people aren't meant to work with me. All money isn't good money. And so I will let people go, and I don't care what's going on in my situation. I have boundaries, and those boundaries come from the abuse that I have gone through in the past, and knowing how imperative it is to protect my mental space.
Hmm. And that kind of brings me into the next question for you is that you've taken all of this, and because of that, because of the things you've experienced, you set better boundaries so that you can be the most productive, healthiest, happiest version of yourself, and not just take anything, not just kind of like, well, okay, I guess. Like, even though you have a passion for helping women, you still, because of the things that you've experienced, have used that to kind of inform who you help and how you help them and all of that good stuff. I made the
Right.
cut, so I'm cool. It's all good over here. Hi mom. um it's all good over here. Yeah, my mom has to pop in and say hi every now and then. She does snatch wigs off, she really does. If you are not ready for real, you can't work with Doc. Hey Kirsch. um so tell me, like, I know just from our conversations that, like, some of your experiences have, yes, they've informed kind of your business model, I'll say. But you've got now, what is it? 4 anthologies? 3, 4? Wait.
Correct. This will be the third one.
Okay. 3 anthologies. The first one I was on. I was in that crew. It was the Shut 'em Down. That was the anthology about corporate women, corporate America, Black women and racism. Um, which you've had that. Then the second one was about hair discrimination. Can't nobody tell me nothing?
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is everyday struggle, and you're talking about toxicity in the workplace. Can you talk a little bit about how your experiences kind of informed the concepts for each of those?
Okay, y'all, like this is how my life works, right? So I'm on LinkedIn last summer and we got everything taking place with George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. And so I just somebody said something about corporate America and I posted my story about why I left corporate America and what had happened to me. And my corporate America was higher education, okay? And so when I did that, I got comments and I went to sleep and I woke up and I said, "Oh, what in the world?" Like my inbox was full and it was full of stories and women telling me how I had given them the courage to share their story and they had never told anyone what they had went through and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like, and I'm trying to respond and make everybody feel good, right? So then I sat down and I said, "Okay, Lord, this is a lot of people. It was a lot." And I said, "What do you want me to do with this? Because these are women, these are their stories. They've never shared these stories before. And they didn't share them publicly. They shared them in my inbox.
Hmm.
And so it was as clear as day. He was just like, "You have a platform. You self-published before. So you can get a book out quicker than a publishing company. You need to give them the opportunity to share their stories, and you're going to do it through an anthology." And I was like, God, that wasn't on my list in January. That wasn't on my to-do list. That wasn't one of my goals. And he was just like, "I don't care." And basically my whole life stopped. Business basically stopped. And I started pulling together this anthology that became Shut 'Em Down, Black Women, Racism in Corporate America. 20 Black women that came forward. I had 3 mental health experts because as we start getting into the stories, I was just like, "Oh, Jesus, we need some mental health people to give some input because this affects
It was
you
heavy.
mentally." It was heavy. And after I did it, people were like, "Okay, so when is book 2 coming out?" "Book 2? Y'all want another one?" Like, I was like, "Look, we agreed to 1. We didn't agree to 2." And so, but then
Right.
we had the whole hair discrimination going on, and I had been through that, because I'm natural. And I was just like, "Well, you know what? Let's get away from the heaviness for a while. Let's talk about hair and the different things that Black women go through with hair." Well, I didn't realize that was traumatizing too. I done heard about perms at the age of 5, and beauticians trimming your ends every time you go in, and you can't figure out why your hair don't
Why your
grow.
hair not
Like,
growing? Hmm.
I heard it all, but I heard it was again. It was just like, oh my goodness, like they go through like that was. And so then people came back after that book came out. I had people saying, "So when the next book for Shut Them Down, when that book gonna come out, or when y'all gonna do a movie? We want a documentary." Like I started getting all these requests. And I was just like, "Okay, I can't. We in the middle of a pandemic. Y'all not gonna get no documentary. Like, first of all, I don't have no documentary money. But let me see if I do another call to action. But what happened?" And so this time I got 13 women. Most of them come from social services and healthcare and tech.
Mm.
And so their stories are interesting. I won't say their stories are as heavy, but it's eye-opening and it lifts this veil of how these industries, especially healthcare and social services, have these code of ethics and how the code of ethics don't apply to
Can
Black
be
women.
flipped. Yep.
It's flipped. And how when we talk about inclusion, Black women aren't really included in that conversation. Or we might be given a seat at the table, but once you sit down, you need to sit down and shut up. Like, we let you sit here, but don't you say
Don't
anything.
say nothing.
And
Don't cut
so
up.
their conversations are more in that direction of, and a lot of them are PhDs.
Mm.
Like, we're not talking small change Black women We're talking Black women who have a ton of education, and they're talking about basically, excuse my language, the shit they done had to go through just to keep a 9 to 5 job.
Mhm.
And so that's how all of that came about. So that, it
Mhm.
wasn't, I didn't plan this. It just kind of happened. And I'm the kind of person that when God puts something in front of me, no matter how much I don't want to do it, like I would just I know when God talking to me. I don't know about other people. And I just be like, God, that that this and that. I like we agreed on one. And he was just like, no, you
One.
said one. I didn't
You
say
agreed on what?
you said one. So I was like, all right, all right, all right.
Right.
And it's just like when I do what I have been instructed to do, it all just falls into place.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
have self-published several books before we got to these anthologies. So I've been a published author. And that started because basically somebody told me no. I wrote a book about a hoe. So I write under the pen name CJ Domino. My first book was a fiction book called Sideline Hoe. Y'all go look it up. Follow up is The Games People Play, which is follow up to the whole book. And publishing companies back in early 2000s, they were just like, no, no, like, no, we don't like the title. No, no, no. Well, okay then. Figure out how to do this my own self.
So, yeah.
And the internet was not as plentiful as it is now. And I figured out how to self-publish a book, and that book became a urban best-selling novel.
But then that experience still contributed to folks like me,
Hmm.
folks like Kersha and Verilyn and Mary and all of us, having a platform to then branch out and do some things. So it's almost like you were the seed that was planted for the fruit, which is all of us to kind of like step into all of our awesomeness. That we found along the way.
Right.
So okay, let me I got to make sure I got everybody's comments. Yes, wait on God. Cheryl, I think I got yours, but I'm not sure. Working in toxic workplaces, it does. It impacts everything. You can't separate the physical stress from the mental.
No.
Kersha, you better say something. She said Dr. Carrie was the answer to our prayer we haven't prayed yet. I know that's right. She's definitely the seed. I call her mother hen. Well, I got a couple names for her, Verilyn. Sometimes she auntie, because she gets you right. That's Auntie Doc sometimes. And what Mary said earlier is true. Like she will when she says snatching wigs, like don't call her and say you did not do her homework. That's the one thing you're not gonna do. Because you're gonna get your feelings hurt. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. I'm not one of the chronically hard headed ones. I have my moments. Yes, it is Cheryl. I have my moments, but I'm not one of the chronically hard-headed ones. I got one good cuss out. That's all I ever needed. I got one.
And the reason I am like that is because my thing is, first of all, nobody's working with me for free. So let's put that out there. People are paying good money to work with me. And so my thing is, you're not gonna go out there and embarrass me and tell them people that you ain't get your money's worth. You gonna
See?
get every dime worth. So whatever you tell me your goal is, I am going to ride you till that goal comes true. So see this one here, when she came to me and was like, I want to write a book. Okay. Then 2 weeks in, she was like, well, I don't know if I want. No, no, no. Now, did you write the manuscript like like I don't want to hear all of that next. Like, give me what you got. Let's look at it. And by the end, this I don't want to do this anymore turned out to be like this phenomenal creation. Because once I got in the groove of it, then it was just like, okay, I can't even reel you in no more. Okay, then I go on in. All right, then we got the cover with the whole cape and the crown. All right, you know. But my thing was when you come to me with a vision.
Put me all on blast. Dang, okay.
Well, I mean, it's your show, you know. But y'all got a great book, huh? We got a great book,
A great book. Yes.
a great book, and it was her vision. So I just help you make your vision come to life. But when people start getting in their own way, one of my gifts is moving you out of your way.
This is true. This
Now
is
you
true.
might not like the way I move you, but you gonna move out your way and we gonna get it done. Now I got
Mhm.
some of them in the chat. I got Cheryl and I joke about this now. When I left corporate America, Cheryl was one of my first clients. She was one of my first clients. And she reminded me of something that I said, because y'all, this Cheryl was my first client back in 2017. It's 2021. Okay. Cheryl just started her
Show
business.
the OG.
Okay. Yeah. So Cheryl is an OG. And Cheryl said, remember, you told me that if you don't start your business right now, it is because you are not mentally ready. But when you get there, I have given you everything that you need to have a successful business. She done walked away from social services and she ain't missed a beat.
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
just goes back through her notes that we had and
Yes.
when we met. And so I don't hold back. See, some coaches out there and these business people, they hold back and they don't tell you everything because they're scared you're not going to come back. My thing is, I want to teach you how to fish.
Mhm.
I want you to have everything that I have so that you can be better than me.
Mm.
I don't mind if my client's better than me. Because see, I like to be in the background anyway. So I'm a pour into you. But then the problem becomes Black people don't want to invest in that. And they don't want to invest in a person that's going to push them outside of their comfort zone to make them be the best version of themselves. Instead, they want to go to the people that's lying and saying they done been a business owner and it's the first business they own. They have the flashy website and they sound good. But you're not listening to the words that's coming out of their mouth to
Mhm.
realize that it's cookie cutter and they're saying the same thing that
To
everyone
everybody.
else is saying. And that's not me. I'm not going to, I
Yeah,
just don't roll like
you're
that.
not gonna sugarcoat it. You're not gonna cookie cut it. It ain't none of that. Ain't
But
none of
like
that.
you said, Dr. J, it is all based on just the experiences that I've gone through. That
Mhm.
it hasn't been easy for me. And so I never lead people to believe that.
Nope.
I had an ex tell me he came in for homecoming. He ain't watching this no way. So he came in for homecoming and he told me, he said, "Yeah, he was like, why'd you leave?" And I said, "Well, at some point you ain't paid me in 2 months, And then they started saying I thought I was better than everybody else." He said, "Well, you done kind of had that air about yourself since we dated back in college." I was saying, "Sir, don't take my confidence for
Right.
for I think I'm better than other people. When I walk into a room, yes, I am very confident. And I said that on a LinkedIn post. No, it's Instagram post this week. I'm very
Instagram.
confident when I walk into a room because I know the value that I bring to that table.
Mhm.
See, that's my confidence showing. And if I
Mhm.
know I can't add value, I'm not walking in the room. That ain't my room to walk in. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna sit there and sit in the back and listen and take some notes. But when I get paid to walk into a room, I'm walking in there confident. I'm gonna have on my 6-inch heels and my nice little sexy dress, my big hair. But I'm gonna bring what you asked me to bring, and I'm going to bring it confidently
Mhm.
because I have went through what I have went through for a reason, and it is so other women don't have to go through this.
Mhm. I think that's a good place to. Oh wait a minute. What Cheryl say? Fear of success is rooted in owning our gifts, our wealth, and our worth. Yeah, that's a good one, Cheryl. That's a good one. In a virtual shot glass. Yeah, that is how she is. No straight, no tracer. But it's all in love. It is all in love. Um. So like I said, I'm I get this all the time, so I could go on ad infinitum, but um I want you to let me throw your website up, but tell the folks where they can find you, what projects you're working on now, how they can connect with you, all that great stuff.
And so right now we are wrapping up our pre-orders for the anthology Everyday Struggle: How Toxic Workspaces Impact Black Women. And so you can pre-order a autograph copy. Go to my website. Yeah, right there. Go to my website. You can order a copy. You can also get a copy of Shut 'em Down: Black Women, Racism in Corporate America, and the Hair Anthology. Like, they're all there. You can also find out about the different things that I have going on. And as I stated earlier, I've pretty much moved away from business coaching in regards to taking on new clients. So I'm only working with people I've worked with in the past. So if I haven't worked with you, I'm not taking on new people, because that's something that I'm moving away from. I feel that I have fulfilled my purpose in that area, and that's a part of my personality too. And so what right now in this season, because of the anthologies, I'm realizing that there are a lot of people from diverse backgrounds. So not just Black women, but just people from diverse backgrounds who are in these jacked up work situations, and they don't know what to do. And again, been there, done that. Should have wrote a book about it. And so the process is documented in my head, and it's embedded in my spirit of what you have to go through and how to get out of it alive and sane. And so I decided that I was going to go back to part of what I did in the past, which was offering professional development training. And that's something that I did as a part of my private practice and as being a college professor, is that I would go in and do trainings. But now my trainings are geared towards healthy workspaces. That when your employees are happy, that they're more productive. And when they're more productive, they're more innovative. And when they're more innovative, you make more money. But when the people are miserable, you ain't gonna make no money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if your demographics within your company don't reflect the demographics that are of your customers, you're gonna lose some money too. And so some people don't like to hear that, but that's the reality. I'm not gonna go to the bank and you ain't got no black tellers. Well, if you ain't got a sister in here, a brother, I'm going somewhere else because I need somebody I can identify with. That is how your
Yeah.
customers think. But in addition to that, this past month of us sharing has made me realize that there are people who don't know what to do. And so I'm not offering coaching in the sense of let's look at your resume. It's just like, okay, tell me what's going on. Okay, this is what you need to do. These are the steps you need to take to develop your exit strategy, to protect yourself, and then for me to hold you accountable to make sure you do what you need to do to protect yourself or to get out of that situation altogether. And so I'm offering career strategy sessions that help people who are in those toxic workspaces figure out how to get out. That's
Mm-hmm.
what my focus is now. And hopefully God and I will have another conversation and he gonna tell me I'm finished with the anthologies, and he will give me the space to bring some of these women back and do a documentary.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that is what I would like to do next, is put them on somebody's screen. Maybe Netflix will pick us up.
There we go. Hey Netflix, you listening? We gonna have to when this post, I'm gonna have to add Netflix and
Yes, yes.
let
So
them,
that is one of my, I would like to bring their stories to the screen, because I've realized that when people see them and experience them, that the impact is, like it's an impact that's undescribable. And I think some of their stories do need to be on a screen.
mm-hmm. Cheryl said a documentary, yes.
Yes, that's like dream big, y'all. That's me.
We gonna get there. We gonna get there. Yeah, you are the queen of dream big. I cannot count how many times I said something. You were like, no more, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, or
Like,
she'll tell me something and I'll be like, okay, so when are we gonna get started? And she'd be, well, wait, no, 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 no. It was just, and I'll be like, but no, that's a great idea. Like, so I run with stuff. So
run, like, Speedy
put on my
Gonzalez run.
Nikes and let's go.
Let's go.
That's me.
Well, I certainly appreciate you being here. We're gonna let these folks go and then we'll catch up. But thank you so much for being here. I need you guys to go visit Doc at drcarrieyazeed.com. Go check out all of the awesomeness that she has to offer. If most of the stuff you see me doing now is because of her push and her guidance, and she is she's an amazing person to be connected to. Follow her on all socials. You will be highly entertained because
Yeah.
what you see here is exactly what you get. She is, I think Mary says, straight no chaser. And that is not an understatement. The all time motivator. Yes. Yes. She knows how to get you moving and grooving. And so I thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story. Thank you all for taking some time out of your schedule and sitting here with us and enjoying this conversation. If you have any comments or suggestions about other shows that you would like to see, go to the brand new redesigned website, www.awakeningchange.org. Check us out, drop us a message about some content that you'd like to see. And I'll see you guys here hopefully next Thursday. All right. Take it easy. Good night, guys.